this week, because I like sporting people, I am by nature a sporty man, I thought we would take a look at Gangfight Games.
Ooh.
Okie dokie.
I like them.
Because they do some interesting stuff.
They do.
Right off the bat, they have a game called Gangfight, which we'll explore in more detail in a moment. But we're going to kick off with Blackwater Gulch, which is their miniature skirmish game set in a fantasy-esque, bizarro Wild West.
Creepy cowboys.
Currently, you can get your hands on a set of either 3D printed files if you print at home, or you can pick up the miniatures themselves, which are 3D printed versions. And they are divided into 4 factions. I think there's a wolf one has just appeared, but it's not up on the shop yet. So we'll have a look at the miniatures first, and then we'll get into the gameplay and the sort of backstory. So you'll see, as is the want of many people when they do things like this, that they lean heavily on popular culture, as is its wont, which means you can get things like Ashton Campbell, who's an awesome-looking fellow out there with his steam-powered chainsaw
and stick-up boomingness,
and his boomstick, which is, delightful in and of itself. Chin's not quite big enough, but you can have everything.
That chin looks reasonably, within range.
Oh, no, it should be huge. It must be massive. So as you can see, the groups themselves are split up into heroes, henchmen, and minions. So this is the same for all the factions. But when you get into the game, the reason is that's the sort of the stat blocks that they're defined by. If I have a look down here and see what else there is to see, we have Doc Lloyd. Who could that possibly be? I don't know, but maybe you do. Maybe he spends his time making stuff and desperately trying to get that steam train up to 88 miles an hour. I do like.
He looks a little bit more dastardly than that.
He does. He looks a bit cheeky.
Yeah,
a little more villainy.
He does have his pocket watch and his bespoke sniper rifle for clipping people at pace at distance. So not everybody is nailed down to a specific Hollywood hero. Some people are based on Wild West characters. Then obviously some are just generic / Blackwater Gulch type of heroes that have been dropped in there as well. I do. If
he doesn't get you with his revolver, he'll hit you with his pick. So.
Yeah, well,
very flashy with the waistcoat.
There's no point in not being flashy. I mean, if you've got gold, you may as well show it off to everybody. Look at me. I've got a lovely mauve waistcoat. And
I am so important that you should not shoot me.
Oh, you should definitely shoot him all the time.
Gramps Filkinson.
I like certain. Isn't that the thing from one of the Toy Stories?
A humanized version, maybe.
Maybe,
yeah. Like the third one?
Yeah. Could be, sure. Let's say yes. I just remember there was like Stinky Pete or something like that. Was he Stinky Pete? He wasn't Stinky Pete, was he? Well, I just imagined it'd be called Stinky Pete. Anyway.
Maybe he too also says, there's a snake in my boot. I don't know.
I imagine so. Yeah. Why would you not? Especially if there's a snake there.
For him, it's probably, there's a worm in my whiskey.
But these obviously would make just great generic Old West types for when you're playing any Western style game.
I love the guy just rocking about with the manacles.
If you were writing your own Western game, maybe. Perhaps. Looking for some lawmen types to do so.
Yeah.
You just imagine them chucking them at the feet of a villain and telling him to clamp himself in irons.
Very cool. I'd be really interested to actually try and paint some of the characters, especially some of the badasses, with the shadow underneath the top of the Stetson, so that it covers the eyes, so that you only see like the square jaws of the hero or something at the bottom. I think that could be neat. So.
I've seen somebody do it years ago on a fantasy Renaissance set of figures.
Right.
It was actually it was a weekender I was on way back before I joined Beasts of War, and we were looking at this thing. And I'm damned if I can remember the company's name now. Because I thought it might have been something like 1666, the descent into.
Was it like an old Carnivale thing or something, maybe? Or
might have been. But all of the deep shadows had all been painted, everything had been painted in black, and just like a nose would be protruding from behind the cowl. Everything else was heavily shadowed.
I have to wonder, is she knocking the barrel going, no, you're going to come with me, or tap, tap, you're getting this?
Might be that.
It's kind of an odd pose.
Could be.
I think, yeah, that's very cool, though.
Anywho.
I like the basing as well, because it kind of goes into that kind of savage landscape that they're trying to put together with Blackwater as well. It's nice.
Australia.
Yes. Going out into the outback, this is what Australia's ground looks like.
Black with blood red everywhere.
Yeah. These are really nice. I remember seeing these pop up. I think it was maybe last year or maybe the year before. They did some previews of these and we had a quick look at them and stuff. And Blackwater Gulch has been around as a game for quite a while, hasn't it, as well?
It's over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And you can get the physical versions, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love the swagger in the characters as well. Oh, it's so cool. Yeah. Proper character and feel and vibe to everything. It's nice.
He looks not dissimilar to what Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name would look like after he'd been through the ringer a few times.
Maybe, yeah.
does look like he's taking a beating.
Yeah.
Those are some of the minions, henchmen, a bit more over the top.
Okay, I'm digging Chang.
Chang,
that is nice.
He looks like one of the Thunders from.
Yeah.
Oh, love him.
Yeah,
nice.
It's
so good.
My favorite of all.
Yeah,
of, Michael J. Fox's roles.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man, that's a film I haven't seen in ages. Definitely to go see that again.
I keep seeing like fake trailers for a remake. It's one that I would be okay with a remake for.
Oh, the original's still good.
Oh, I know that, but Hollywood's remaking everything. At least remake something that was good back then, so you at least have a chance of nostalgia.
This is clearly from a Shanghai Noon, so it's a Jackie Chan take.
Yeah.
So,
if something was good back then, don't remake it. Why not remake something that was bad back then but had a good story but was poorly executed? Like the Wheel of Time series. Somebody should remake that.
Oh yeah,
I know
Jerry.
Technically they've not finished it yet, but we all can see it's absolute horseshit. So
I mean, I can make you sad. Season 2's out.
Oh, I know it's out and I've already ignored it.
Jacob Sparks. Strong man in another life. Yeah. There with the leotard and the.
Well, it's funny you say that. I don't think they've been produced yet, but they have concepts for a circus.
Oh, brilliant!
So the freaks have come to town.
Yeah,
and are all going to be kicking off. So
I like that.
You just don't know who's going to be there.
Will Clancy. Oh, and I wonder who Captain Nathan Reinhold is.
Could be anybody at all. Yeah. He's not wearing a coat, which would have given us a better hint.
It would have done, yeah.
He does look like he's aiming to misbehave, though.
What? Is that your weird voice for this week, Ben?
Yeah, it is. Got to get it in. Yeah.
I like Mr. Fu and his
with the knuckle dusters.
Yeah. Somebody's going home without any teeth.
I wish they had done some of the characters from Deadwood.
You never know.
Mr. Fu should have been B.A. Baracus.
I ain't getting on no stagecoach.
I ain't getting on no boat.
I'm trying to think when the Montpellier brothers' first flight was. I think it predates the Old West.
Oh,
so it's
man.
entirely possible he's not getting a new plane.
Yeah. I ain't hanging out with no Wright brothers. Oh.
Yeah, anyway, we'll have a quick look at the Curse to the Beasts as well.
So are these more of the Weird West stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Might be, a little bit. So you've got your Chupacabra, the old goat suckers.
Uh-huh.
And then
there's a jackalope.
Mm-hmm.
Leshen?
Leshen.
Whole host of weird
That's so nice.
Including Bat.
Mm-hmm.
And this is part and parcel of the Blackwater Gulch setting.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the rules, which we'll take a look at in a moment, there is a backstory, so it's not just generic weird Wild West. It tells you, that a lot of the big fights and stuff in history have happened for a very specific reason. Things like the Crusades wasn't about taking back the Holy Land; it was about going and locking down places where evil could get into the world, where these ley lines sort of passed. And when the little town of Victory Falls, I think it is, when they discovered gold there, everybody moved in and then drove the Indians off the land, and they'd been keeping that sort of ley line point locked up tight until that point.
Not that silly colonists.
So once they landed and then drove off or killed the defenders, it allowed the evil to start creeping out into the land and deforming and corrupting things.
That's horrifying.
It's great. Tactical jackalope.
Just casually gnawing on his lunch.
Oh, you got a little carrot there. Oh my god.
Oh, hey little fella, you having your lunch? Oh. No. Wow. The sculpts are great.
Yeah. Wild are the werewolf. I love that a lot. I'm a massive fan of werewolves, so having more of them to play around with, especially in the Wild West. Faction. Yeah. Well, there was even there was a World of Darkness supplement that was werewolves in the Wild West as well. So if you ever wanted to,
supplement, it was the full game.
Oh, it was, yes, yeah. It was a bit like the Dark Age one, all that kind of thing. Yeah. So you could dive in and do that, which is pretty nice.
A bullet hole right through it if you've got the original hardback.
Yeah. I do. What was the what's the Savage Worlds roleplay, which is set in like a weird Wild West as well? I can't remember what it's called now.
I don't know.
I'll remember it eventually.
Good.
The kiddos are freaking me out.
Oh, the Cursed, the minions, which are a mixture of native zombies and then tiny black-eyed children. Very Village of the Damned style.
Yeah.
And there's not enough little child murdering things scraping around the place. They're awesome. Why would you not have like a whole unit of those?
The levels of dementedness.
Absolutely got to love them. And then we have the Jersey
Devil. Wow. And the Tall Man as well. I really like drawing on the whole folklore element. That's really nice to see. And playing around with that a little bit more. And the kind of stories that get told by all those people on the frontier and stuff. It's very nice.
That's not right.
No.
I'm not sure what they were smoking, eating, or drinking around the Jersey Turnpike to come up with that. Yeah. If you're going to have a devil.
It's their equivalent of the Florida Man. Is the
yeah. I mean, it's possibly each other.
It's not beyond the realms of possibility. So yeah, I say currently 4 factions and a host of models for such. But then there is the games themselves, the rules themselves. Now, you can't get them print on demand via the medium of drive-through the RPGs.
Nice.
But you can get both games, so Blackwater Gulch and the Gangfight, we'll have a look at in a moment, through drive-through as a free PDF. Complete. See? Told you I spoiled you. Two free games. 2.
Oh, man.
You might as well get it down. Yeah.
So this explains, like I say, the backstory of Blackwater Gulch and the current setup for factions, and then also creating your custom characters and playing campaigns, scenarios, that sort of thing. So this is the same rule set that Gangfight works off, but obviously done for Blackwater Gulch itself. But there's some really nice stuff. I like the fact that they've put in a fair bit of backstory, so you can find out where things are coming from, why things have gone horribly wrong. You could potentially just play this as a straight Western style game if you want. You don't need to add the weird side.
Yeah, just take out the weird stuff.
But I like the weird stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you don't have to like the weird stuff.
Oh, that's cool. It's good. I'd love a good map. Definitely need a good map.
There's a couple of things about it. My favorite part of it is the fact that the town has a river running through the middle of it, so it's split. and you have to take ferries across. There's no bridges. It's like a ferry from here to a ferry to there type of thing. Which is, you don't often see it in sort of small skirmish games where it's so tightly tied to one place. And then to get an actual map to go with, and you go, well, I know, if we're setting up to play a game, you could literally put out the East Bank where the proper people live, or
such a cool idea.
Do your terrible shantytown West Bank, all the filth wizards.
Well, I mean, the sheriff's on the other side of the river, so you can do all the crime.
Yeah.
Well, until such stage that it starts annoying the people on the nice side of town because they can't get to sleep.
Yeah. It's tailor-made for campaign stuff as well, isn't it? Because you can have us fight over the town and fighting for different districts and things. Yeah. Which would be nice. Yeah.
And you also get your blow-by-blow breakdown of what the town consists of, and also places outside, like Cooter himself, the guy who started all. It's his fault. He found the gold.
Goddamn Cooter.
If he would have just had a heart attack or fallen down a cliff or something early on, none of this would have been problems. Yeah. So you get your whole backstory, nice. And then after that you get into the greater world.
Ooh.
So you can go beyond.
More maps.
Got like Maya and their Incan temples up there. Nice.
The Mictlan excavations.
Yeah.
Who knows what that is? Best not check it. Don't go near it. Definitely stay away from that pit. So yeah, it's a nice little rule system. You can see there character cards for the gameplay, but essentially, you've got your health, your armor, fighting stats, initiative stats, blah 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 blah. It's all there contained on the cards if you need it. The create your own character bit's quite nice, because you can sit down if you've got other bits and pieces that you've got at home, and you're going, well, how would I drop in the stranger from High Plains Drifter, and then lead the townsfolk against whatever creeping ungodliness is coming out of the Marble Mountain.
Paint Blackwater Gulch red.
Yes. Step one.
Yeah.
Paint it all red. Well, or maybe keep the theme, paint it all black.
Yeah.
Because it did go from Victory Falls to Blackwater Gulch when things went wrong. So, but you've got a fairly comprehensive, 100-page rule book there for your fantasy.
Yeah. I like that there's plenty of diagrams and pictures of the gameplay and everything in there as well. So it makes it a fun read, which can be a massive thing for when you're diving into a new game. Because if it feels inviting, I think that makes a huge difference. Especially having things like that to kind of give you an idea of the kind of terrain that you want to build up on a tabletop as well.
Yeah.
Do they give you a recommendation?
Yeah, they recommend you play their game.
No, where to get the terrain from? Sorry.
No, some of the stuff was Battle Flag that's defunct, but I think Battle Flag's been bought up by somebody recently.
Yeah. They got picked up by, was it First Core?
First Core
picked up.
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
Okay.
So
you can get a hold of those still. War bases also do a really good range of Wild West terrain.
And
okay, cool.
There's tons of people do Wild West because it's very much the de rigueur at the moment. I don't know why. I'm going to assume it's because of me.
There's not a box of gunfighters sitting next to me on the table. No.
No. Well, why would there be? I mean, that would be insane. So yes, Blackwater Gulch, lovely little game. Obviously the miniature range accompanying it, spanking as well. Some real gems in there, depending on what you feel like playing.
Art's amazing as well.
Yeah.
Really nice design.
But this brings us to Gangfight. This book is slightly bigger. It is a universal set of skirmish rules. So this is kind of what I think this was based on Blackwater. So
yes, because that came out first, I think. Yeah.
Blackwater came out first, then this has been sort of stripped back and then built up again. As you can see, the first 20 or so pages are your core mechanics. Here is how the game works. Here's your abilities, blah, blah, blah. After that, the book is divided into 3 more sections. Chronicle is playing fantasy games. So that is...
oh, my days.
All of that. That's all about fantasying. And then after that, Aeon is if you want to play skirmish games as a sci-fi. That's all of that.
Cool.
And then First Strike is a Metal Gear Solid style modern game. It can be as modern as you want it to be. It can be slightly future modern, where they've got guns mounted on drones and walking around the place and blah, blah, blah. Or you can be a bit more realistic. So you can play up to the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, or you can play actual, games as is your want. And then the end of the game, or the end of the book, finishes with scenarios and campaign play.
Brilliant.
As well. So this is an absolutely stuffed book. And again, the low price of free if you just want to read the PDF. Although they will,
so good.
They will print on demand. Don't do that. There's no Lloyd here. Because that's all I can hear now. It's just Lloyd going, so good. Anyway.
Gotta love a good earworm.
Oh, no, it's the worst thing ever.
With us moving towards, or at least Warren moving towards the idea of wanting to have like one rule set that you could just learn and play loads of games with, and other people trying to following suit in many regards as well. Having something like this, and as you say, for free, just seems like a no-brainer to go and have a look at.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who doesn't go and download this,
I'm downloading it now.
I think you're kind of missing out. It is a true skirmish game. And by that, I mean, it's not just low model count and play. It's slightly more intricate in its gameplay. So I know Warren's very keen on a game that has like 2 rules that he doesn't have to think about ever. This contains things like your threat range. So small things like goblins have got a threat range of about half an inch, whereas huge models on bigger bases, so between 75 and 120 mils. So your zombie, troll, ogre, dragon, giants have got a 3-inch. So you've got different threat ranges depending on the model that's being played. The game has a couple of interesting dice mechanics. It's dice pool based. So you may find that you've got 4 dice for an attack, and then you come to do your let's say I'm attacking one of your figures, Ben, and you've got a defense of 7. What I can do is take my dice pool of 4 dice, and for every dice I sacrifice from my dice pool, I get a +1. So I couldn't physically hit you on a d6, but I could drop 1 and have 3 dice on 6s, or I could drop 2 and have 2 dice left on 5s, or all the way down to, drop 3 and have 1 dice.
That's interesting.
Up.
Yeah.
6s explode.
I love that.
You've also got the potential then that even if you have to sacrifice most of your dice pool to make it a guaranteed hit, you could still come back up then on the actual damage side of things. So yeah, that's always fun. As you can see there, you've got your defense, initiatives, willpower, armor, endurance, and damage. When it comes to, if I skip on to the fantasy part, it's probably close enough to us anyway.
I was going to say, as you're scrolling through, I think this would be a really nice game to pick up if you're one of those people who has picked up loads of miniatures from, say, 3D printing companies or just various designers out there that have created a model range, but don't necessarily have a game attached to them. So, for example, the goblins and stuff that you've picked up, Jerry.
It's funny you say that.
So having something like this to be like, right, now I've got this huge selection of miniatures that I've painted up, and I don't necessarily know what game to play with them. Try this one out, kind of thing.
Again, even though this is a theoretically generic, and you can impose your will wherever you want, there's still a comprehensive history for all 3 settings. So they've created a world of Erin. It tells you about things like the Erkland incursion. Einhall is the dwarves. They go off inside to kick everybody's toy and go back home to discover that their mountain's a bit screwed. So it gives you a background for all the races. Now, sometimes people go, I can use beastmen as orcs, but it doesn't feel right, blah, blah, blah. With this, they've gone, well, here's our background, here's our world, here are the races, and most of them are covered in there. So if you have something from Mantic or GW or MV Creative or whoever it happens to be, you'll find in there, humans, racist elves,
something that works for you.
Yeah. Warrows.
What's a warrow?
Warrows are what you call them, little gnomes, or they diminutive, tinkery type things. Now that could be a gnome,
could be a halfling,
some sort of halfling. That could be a gnoll with whatever you want them to be. The Gur are kind of basemen equivalents, and Sormi are bog-dwelling lizard people. So you've got all of this, and then when you hit the actual,
it's extensive. Jeez.
Yeah. But then when you hit the actual game itself, or the unit profiles, there are your unit profiles. Just like Blackwater Gulch, you've got heroes, henchmen, minions. Here you have warriors, veterans, and heroes. So you've only got a single stat line to worry about. But then there's additional detail with abilities that can be bought, weapons that can be bought, armor, skills. So you can start fine tuning. And this is what I mean, where it's like a true skirmish game. It's not just you're only playing with 5 people, but everybody's, X, Y, and Z. You can go in and go, right, well, I'm going to give him this trait. I'm going to take that equipment off them and start to tinker around and make it as zoned in, as honed in as you want it to be. And then that obviously then has a knock on to the stats that you've seen above. So once you start adding various armor types and people get the armor reduced, or adding incorporeal to a barrow white or whatever it happens to be, so you can go, here's my undead hero stat line, and now I want to make it into a wraith. So I'm going to give him that. I'm going to give it a death touch. I'm going to make it this size. Stat up, point up, away you go. And that's the sort of thing I look for in a skirmish game.
I really like that, yeah.
Is a good amount of detail within it, because you don't want it just to feel repetitively samey. And so they've really gone to town. And like I say, there's a whole bundle of talisman and charms and all sorts of stuff that you can add in. And this is just the fantasy section. It's the same then when you hit Aeon for sci-fi. You get the same sort of level of detail within this. So what happened from the late 21st century onwards, where we met the aliens, how we fought the aliens, how the aliens kick people's asses, which will teach them.
Why we shot first. Oops.
Yeah. And again, it has the same, you're always working off that same core mechanic and same style of unit profile, a bit more expanded for the sci-fi version. So you have hackers and that sort of thing brought into it as well, which means you can play around more. And I think it makes slightly more sense for the sci-fi to have that. So you've got a greater breadth for, multiple worlds colliding.
It does that really nice thing that a lot of, as you say, true skirmish games do, where you combine the war game with that slight role-playing element to it. So you feel like you're telling the story rather than it just being a fight over objectives on a table kind of thing, which is good to see.
I will skip very quickly down to past the vehicles and down
to
you've
got vehicles
modern.
In there,
so yeah. And then First Strike itself. And again, First Strike it's modern, but it's all fictionalized. It's, it's like when the Expendables go to Kazakhstan and then kill up the Mongolian emperor who's been running there behind the screen of things for 2 centuries or whatever, that sort of nonsense. But again, you can take what you want out of it. You can go full G.I. Joe versus, I was going to say the Foot Clan, but that's Turtles. My God. You can go fully pulp, or you can go more grounded and just drop out some of the things that are in there that wouldn't be realistic for modern combat. But again, you've got the same sort of equipment and abilities in there. And this one, it's a little more skewed towards the weaponry. You're not going to find as many super fantastic heroes as you do in the sci-fi and the fantasy, but there's still some punching above their grade. And again, vehicles, being them whatever way you want, up to and including dropships and drones. And it finishes off with a whole host of scenarios, and like I say, that campaign system as well. So
very cool.
There's a lot going on. Especially around that corner, and I wouldn't suggest turning around that corner, young Philip Laddiebuck. It may not go well for you.
What I kind of want to do with this is recreate the Mr. and Mrs. Smith scene when they were fighting through the shopping center. As a tabletop game for a laugh.
Never seen that. I used to watch Mr. and Mrs. in the afternoon.
Oh, totally different.
Oh, okay. It was a good game show. You could win a carriage clock.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, God, I remember old shows like that where I just think, wow, carriage clock.
Right.
Right.
At least it's not a speedboat. So
landlocked speedboat. There we have it. Gangfight Games, 2 rule sets covering 4 different sort of genres for free, gratis. Go grab them now and maybe check out the miniatures as well.
Sounds bloody great.
It is. It's spanking gorgeous.
It's tempting.
Just like our news, which will be right back after this.